So let's give her a great Summit welcome.
Well, thank you. That's my favorite part. I can remember the first year we came to Summit was in 2010. And so I remember just soaking it up. My students loved it. And this was like when Dr. Lytle at the time was like, okay, guys, we got to welcome people and mean it. I was like, yeah, let's go. So thank you for that. I love it so much. Okay, we're going to buckle in and jump right in. Are y'all game with that? We're just jumping right in. So get ready. So this is my family. I kind of love that Cole also had a picture hiking in the mountains. This was us in Breckenridge this summer. This is kind of our most relaxed, happy place. Just easy, relaxed. We're not dressed up, put on a visor, no makeup. Just enjoy God's beauty. So that's definitely my family. My husband did go to ACU. He did GSP back in the day. My older daughter was a Siggy, younger was a Koji. They were involved in sing-song, all the things. They soaked up everything, study abroad, all the things. So we very much have, my mom went to ACU, my aunts went to ACU. I do need to warn you, I am an Aggie, so I kind of was a little bit of the oddball in my family, not being an AC Wildcat, but hopefully you'll give me some grace. Aggies are good too, hopefully. So that's my family. And then this is actually me, I think, Dr. Lytle in 2010 or 2011. We were having this massive snowball fight, and I'm pretty sure I pegged him in the head, but I don't know. I don't have evidence of that, but he was playing, and I think that's what I loved about Summit, is that it's like camp. For 3 hours credit, are you kidding me? It's like so fun. So this was me totally enjoying. These were even ACU students. These weren't even my LCU students. That's what we love so much about it, is we all just jumped in together and had a blast for the whole week. So that is a fond memory. I love that picture because I feel like it represents Summit. Yes, you're sitting and learning, but we gotta have fun too, right? Gotta have fun too. Okay. To get your juices flowing of where I want us to go, I need you to do something real quick for me, just to kind of get your brain space going. Would you count the number of the letter F, as in Frank, in that paragraph and write it down? Just real quick, we're just kind of getting those juices flowing in your brain. You have about 30 seconds just to read through the paragraph and count the number of the letter F and write it down. Okay, everybody have your number written down? Okay, now beside that number, I want you to put your percent confidence of that number. What percentage confidence are you in your number? Just write that down too real quick. It's just part of getting your brain going, okay? You got it? Everybody wrote it down? Everybody? Yes, thumbs up. Okay, great. Okay, we are gonna talk about the wake behind you. Now, the thing about words, an interesting thing about words and communication is that we all have our own dictionaries in our head of what we think of when we see a word. Now, I also know that this is 2026, and some of you may need to be reminded what a dictionary is. Back in the day when I was in school, it was a big, thick book, and all the words that we commonly use in our language were alphabetized. And I don't know if you ever used one before, but when you would look up a certain word, you wouldn't just ask Siri or ask AI. You'd actually look in the book, and you do remember that in any given word, there were actually what? Multiple definitions. So for any given word, there were multiple definitions. And I think we have forgotten that as we communicate as leaders and even as professionals. Is that just because we're using the same words doesn't mean we're using the same definition of a word. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. But because I have been to Summit before, and I've been around college students before, and a lot of Wildcats before, I pretty much can predict what all of you are picturing in your mind with that word. Do you have a picture in your mind of what this word is? You ready? Do you want to see if I'm right? If I'm 100% right? All of you are thinking of the same picture, I'm pretty sure. And it's this one. Am I right? What? No? Does anybody know what that is? Wake Forest. I had a friend, her son played football there, and so we were big cheering him on. I didn't ever know that that was a building on the Wake Forest campus, but it kind of helps me out today. Maybe what about this one? Is this a little bit closer? Or is it really more this one? What about this one? Okay, I live in Lubbock. Not many people think of water in Lubbock, but some people do think that. So that's what we're going with today, the wake. A track, a course, or a condition left behind something that is past. Or, I like this one too. We may be straddling both of these. The aftermath or consequence of something. So it could just be, hey, what does it feel like as something comes by? What's left behind? Or is it a consequence? So that's really where we're going today. We're going to talk about a wake behind you. You know, Dr. Lytle loves Michigan and the water, so this is for you, Dr. Lytle. Got a water picture in there for you. Okay, so my question to you is, what does the wake behind you look like as you walk throughout your day? As you're walking throughout your day, encountering people and situations, passing people in the hallway in classes, maybe today at Summit, maybe you kind of wandered into breakfast kind of sleepy and someone said hi and you're like, oh, maybe I should say hi back. Or maybe you're sitting in class. I've kind of been observing all of you in the last 24 hours, less than 24 hours I've been here. I've kind of just been noticing some things. Noticing the wake behind you. How are you interacting with your classmates? Some of you are sitting in the same place you sat in last night, but some of you are sitting in different places. Isn't that interesting? So there's all kinds of things people will be noticing about you as you walk throughout your day. What does the wake behind you look like? The wake behind you. And I would like to encourage you to think about, as leaders, a lot of your leadership, and honestly just your faith too, has a lot to do with credibility. And credibility is a word I really like when we talk about leadership, because it has a lot to do with your competence. Can you do the job? Do you have the skills to actually deliver results? But do you also have the character to go with it? And because if you Googled leadership, a definition of leadership, you know, we've got a great one from Kuznis and Posner for Summit, but there are millions of definitions of leadership. So often when I'm doing trainings for clients or even speaking places, I'd rather find out what your definition of leadership is. What do y'all think good leadership is? And thank you to those who filled out my little survey that Dr. Marquardt posted on Canva. I really appreciate that, because we have a definition based on what all of you said to answer those questions. So one thing about credibility I also want to point out is that it's not just another way to think about it, if you will, is this healthy tension between results and relationships. If you think of a rubber band, can y'all picture a rubber band? I think we all know what rubber bands are. I forgot to bring one because I was going to put them on the tables, but then I know some of the professors in the back would start shooting them at y'all, so I don't trust the professors. So, because we have to have fun. If we throw snowballs, we might throw a few rubber bands. So there's a healthy tension. A rubber band, to work properly, has healthy tension in it. I truly believe tension is not bad. When it turns into friction is when it's bad. I think healthy tension is actually what everything leadership is about. How do you hold several things in a healthy tension that have to coexist, that may actually compete against each other, but you have to hold them at the same time and make them work together? Results, relationships. How do you get results and maintain relationship? How do you get results and have character in those results? How you get results matters. I'm going to say that again. How you get results matters. So let's see what you said. This is the words that y'all picked for a leader you do not respect and would not want to follow. These are the words that y'all came up with. This is y'all's Summit 2026 students. These are the words that you all chose for a leader you would not want to follow. And my question to you is, what percentage of those words have to do with competence, and what percentage of those words have to do with character? Can you eyeball that for me? I know I was going to say spitball, but I know my family are all accountants, and they don't like spitballing. They like exact, precise numbers. So for those of you who might be accountants, I know that might be hard for you, but come on, let's spitball it. What do y'all think? Just general, what do you think? Give me a percentage. How much is competence? 0? 0? 100% character? Okay, I'm going to give a 10% maybe competence, maybe, just a smidge, because competence does matter. But isn't that fascinating? 90% of what you all said makes up a leader you would want to follow has to do with their character. Wow. Well, what about the positive traits? That must be different, right? What do you think? Any difference in the percentages there? About the same? 10% competence, 90% character? So can we all agree? I would like to agree with you. You don't have to agree with me because these are your words, right? You all believe that 90% of what makes someone a good leader has to do with their character. So my next question is, you're in school, you're gaining all these skills, all these things to become competent. What are you doing to build your character? If you know that we still have to be competent. You can't just have a lot of character and not be good at delivering results. You won't get the job. There are things you have to be able to deliver results on. That's legitimate and that's okay. You can't just be a nice, kind person and expect to go do brain surgery, right? I'm not going to have you do surgery on me. You have to still perform and do a good job with the skills and deliver results and do a good job. Have excellence. That's what ACU is about. Yet you have to hold character right next to it. If you get results and you destroy people on the way and don't have relationships, that's not a win. That's not someone you're going to want to follow, right? You got to figure out how to do both. You've got to deliver amazing results and be so competent, but you also have to be relational. You also have to have character. How you get results matters. So, that being said, let's keep moving. So we've already said that. You can take a screenshot. Can I say it 50 times? Let's all say it together. How you get results matter. Okay, thank you. So later on at the end of the second one, Dr. Golden brought a handout. You're going to have these for a reflection time. These are actually some practical skills and behaviors you can actually start working on in yourself to build trust. Building trust builds relationships. Building relationships helps you with building credibility. Some of these behaviors have to do with character. Some of these behaviors have to do with competence. So at the end of our second session, be sure to grab one of these handouts, and in your reflection time, my challenge to you is to look at these behaviors. How are they showing up in your life? How's it going? What are some things you want to lean into? What are some things maybe you want to polish up a little bit? Because can I also just say, if you signed up for Summit, you are awesome. So can you raise your hand? Can you raise your hand? I won't make you come up here. Just raise your hand. Everybody can raise your hand. Can you raise it just a little bit higher? You can. See, that's what Summit's about. This isn't that you're not good. You are good. But hey, how about we get just a little better? It doesn't always take a ton more effort just to be a little bit more intentional, to get a little bit better. And that's what these behaviors are about. So check them out during your reflection time. So if you want to get better at your credibility, what I'm asking you to do with that handout is to get curious. In all my years of leadership and all the things, recently I spoke at a conference and they pinned me down to one word. They said you get one word. What is one word that you would use to describe a leader you would want to follow? And this is the word I picked. I actually believe curiosity can take care of a lot of those traits that you said that you wanted to see in a leader that you'd want to follow. If you're curious about something, you're not going to be full of fear and judgment, because that's the one thing about your brain chemistry. If you're being curious and asking good questions, you can't also be in fear and judgment. It's really fascinating how that works in your brain. So if I can get you to be curious with me and not feel judged that I'm not enough or I'm doing a bad job or I'm fearful that how am I going to figure out how to be a leader when I graduate or even tomorrow when I'm supposed to lead some meeting, get curious. Curiosity is your superpower. It matters how you get results, and curiosity is your superpower. It will help you figure out how to do it. If you can be curious, you will be able to figure out how to do a ton of stuff. But if you're in fear and judgment, you're going to get defensive, you're not going to take feedback, you're going to get arrogant, you're not going to be humble. All kinds of things start going sideways on you. So curiosity is your superpower. So let's just kind of dive in. We're going to get some practical things going here. Y'all ready? Okay. So back to the number you wrote down. Do you remember that just a few minutes ago? You wrote down a number, and you wrote down a percentage confidence in your number, okay? So let's just go through this. How many of you got 10? Raise your hand. 10, back here. Okay, everybody look around. We got some people who got 10, okay? How about 11? Who got 11? 11, good. How many got 12? 12, good. 13, okay. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20? Okay, before I even tell you the answer, did y'all notice something kind of puzzling? Interesting. But I can understand why you all got different answers, because this is like an algebraic equation to going to the moon, right? So it's very difficult counting the letters in a paragraph, right? Really hard. What's going on? And can I also ask now, how many of you just marked out your percentage confidence in your number? What were some of your numbers of confidence next to your number? Huh? 95%. So some of you were wrong with authority. Way to go. Good job. I'm 95% sure this is it. Yet, we have numbers all over the place in this room. And y'all are y'all are very smart. I was going to say y'all are the smart ones. That's kind of rude. But y'all are the smart people. Y'all signed up for Summit. You're the people who are already doing amazing work. And it wasn't like that was some kind of, hard, equation. It was counting letters. So what is going on? What is going on? The number 17. Now, some of you are thinking, there's no way. She tricked us. There's no way. No way. I've done this with groups and they literally thought I tricked them. They would not believe that they were wrong. They did not believe it. We had to count together. So we're going to count together. A lot of you got the F that began the word. Some of you may have missed the F at the later in the word, but this is the one that gets most people, the letter of. The F's in the word of. So for those of you who got 17, nice job. They're like, yeah, we just guessed. Okay, whatever. No, you probably counted. So your brain is built for effectiveness and efficiency. It literally will filter things that you see, kind of like social media. There's filters, there's algorithms. Your brain kind of works that way too. Because if you noticed every single thing all the time, your brain would be overwhelmed. So your subconscious kind of self-selects what you see and notice. And they try to help you be more efficient. And that's a great thing. The shadow side of it is you will see different things than what other people see. And a lot of you did not consider that the word of was an F because your brain saw it as a V, because the way it's pronounced. It's called the illusion of certainty. It actually is a thing. But typically what happens with the illusion of certainty is you are so confident that you're right that you cannot even entertain that there could be another possibility. Or someone does it differently than you. You're like, how could they possibly do it that way? What are they thinking? How could they possibly? And then you get frustrated with them, trust is broken, and then you start showing up, the wake behind you start getting a little questionable. You start showing up like this. You kind of show up arrogant, like, well, of course, there's not 17 in that, no way. I am 95% sure I'm right. So you might even be considered to be disrespectful because you kind of blew someone off when they were trying to tell you there was 17. They might even say they were rude. Can you even believe how prideful they were? They wouldn't even consider that there could be a different way to do it, or there could be a different correct answer. The illusion of certainty can trip you up. Be aware. That's why I'm telling you to stay curious. Even if you're 99% sure, there's probably a great chance you're right. But if you come across as, how could you possibly think that? What does that do to the relationship? What does that do next time that you're not right and they're scared to tell you the right answer? The higher up you go in leadership, the harder it is to get feedback. So you want to make sure you're acting in a way that can help with that. Be aware of the illusion of certainty. But I have another one for you. You want to count again? You ready? You want another try? Everybody want another try? We can do do-overs here, right? Okay, here's another try. So focus. They're going to turn up the volume so y'all can hear this. So y'all ready to focus? Everybody ready? Okay, you paying attention? You're going to be counting again. Okay, here we go.
This is an awareness test. How many passes does the team in white make?
Okay, count well. Let's go. What'd you get?
The answer is 13.
Did y'all get it? Good job.
But did you see the moonwalking bear?
Moonwalking bear? Was there a moonwalking bear?
No!
It's kind of hard to see in this room, so I'll catch you a little side. If you look at that screen back there, you can see a little better. There actually is a moonwalking bear. So, that's tricky, right? Well, here's another video that kind of illustrates this. What's going on here? People are about to fall into some chasm, right? Oh. What are you noticing? What are you seeing? What's your perspective? Oh, just kidding. I think you get the point. There's different perspectives. Sorry, I need every minute I can get. So y'all get the point, right? So could it be possible that you see something, the car is about to hit those cement pillars. I'm 100% sure that car is about to hit those. Oh, it's just a shadow on the ground. There's different perspectives. Do y'all know who this is? Are y'all too young, or do y'all know who this is? Colonel Sanders is making a comeback, isn't he? I like that. Okay, so do you see the bow tie, or do you see the little stick man? What do you see? I always saw the bow tie, and then a little girl said, Daddy, why is his body so small for his head? And the dad was like, wait, what? She's not wrong, is she? Is it possible that there could be more than one way to do something? There could be more than one right way to do it, more than one right answer. You can't really argue. I think the marketers intended it to be a bow tie, but what if they don't? What about this one? Does anybody know the shape that's in this logo? They paid a lot of money to make sure a shape got in this logo, and 80% of the people don't even know it's there. Does everybody see the arrow? Who does not see the arrow? Anybody with me that you didn't see the arrow for a while? It's in between the E and the X. Do you see it between the E and the X? They paid a lot of money because that arrow was kind of cool for it. So many people don't even notice it. How could you possibly not notice the arrow in the word? Well, Captain Crockett sure didn't. I just didn't see it. Your filters and your algorithms may filter stuff out, and you may not see things other people see. And I actually think that's the mercy of the Lord, because we need each other. We need to be in relationship with each other. But if you're not curious about what other people are seeing, and you're so set in your ways and so determined that it's your way or the highway, you're in trouble. It could cause really major problems with your credibility, and you'll become someone nobody wants to follow. So think about curiosity and the illusion of certainty. It's a big deal that shows up. Be curious about where that might be showing up in your world. Because remember, this is the goal. This is the aspiration that y'all said we want to all try to be like. We want these words to show up. We want to try to think through, okay, I can be confident, but I can also be curious. I can be confident in what I see and how I think we ought to do it, but I can also be curious and be open that there may be other ideas. And just because this might be the best way for me to do it with my gifts and talents, that might not be the best way for them to do it, because they're gifted differently. And they'll get it done way faster and better in their own gifts and talents than if I make them do it in my way, in my gifts and talents. So do you see how there's this interesting dynamic between results and relationships? Getting results and character. That's a big deal. So let's keep going. So knowing that this is kind of where we're going, I want us to actually together lean into one of the behaviors of trust that's on that sheet that you're going to look at later, right? You're going to look at it later, right? Okay, one of the behaviors is confront reality. So can we have a real conversation for a second about confronting reality of where are you right now in this? Where are you in getting results? Because right now, all of you are professional students. You know, college is not necessarily 13th grade. You could have chosen to work. You could have chosen to go into the military. You could have chosen to start your entrepreneurial business without college, but you chose to come to college, which meant that you became a professional student. So professionals get results. So my question to you is, how are you getting results right now? Right now, not someday when you're working in some job, right now. How are you getting results? And let's just say there's lots of different results you get in college, but let's just use grades as a metric. That's an easy one. So how do you choose to get your grades? Remember? Because what did we all sing song together earlier? How you get results matters, right? Do we agree with that? Would y'all be okay can we all stack hands on that and say, go team? We can agree with that? So how are you getting your results right now? Let's see. For over 20 years, 23 years or so, I was full-time undergrad faculty at LCU, and so we were actually at LCU, we did a little different than ACU in that we were the advisors, academic advisors, as well as the professors. So I had about 50 students at any given time that I would be advising and meet one-on-one with them and talk about where they wanted to go, jobs, all the things. And so often I would get pretty good relationships with them, and they'd be pretty candid and open with me about how it was going. And so these are just a few scenarios that I want to throw out to you. They may not apply to you because that was several years ago, but one of the students I had, it was all about the grades. I have to get a 4.0. I don't have time for club. I don't have time to serve. I don't have time for church. I don't have time for anything else. I got to study. I got to study. And basically what I want to tell you is how you're doing life right now to get results is practicing how you will play later in the workplace. You can't expect that you're going to practice one way and be able to perform another. So this person who is only focusing on their grades and only focusing on school, what are they going to become? A workaholic. They're not going to know how to have a life outside of work in the future because they haven't figured it out now. What about the one that just blows off class, doesn't really care about grades, not that big of a deal? They're going to be unemployed, most likely, or a bazillionaire, anyway. So we won't go there. So the other thing I wanted to bring up was, let's just go there. How about that? So when you get your syllabus the first day of class, what do you typically do? You're like, I don't go the first day of class and I don't read the syllabus. Let's pretend you do. Okay, so you're going to read the syllabus, and what do you kind of flip through? Or what are you curious about on the syllabus? What are you looking for? Anybody help me out? I'm curious if it's the same now as it was several years ago. What are you curious about? Grades. How am I going to get my grade? What do I have to do? What am I going to have to do in the next 14, 15 weeks to get this grade? And you see the reading, and you're like, oh, how many textbooks? Ugh. All the things, right? And let's say you fall to this last page and you see group project. Don't react. Write down right now the first thought that came to your mind when I said group project. What's your first thought that came to your mind? Group project. Yay. Okay, how many of you can honestly say you're totally pumped that you have a group project? How many of you are like, oh man? Okay, now here's where you have to really be honest. How many of you are like, I'm just going to tell them I'll do all the work. I don't trust those suckers to get my grade that I need. I'm just going to do all the work. I'm going to offer to do all the work. Who says that? Okay? And how many of you are like, yeah, I'm letting those suckers do all the work. That's going to be great. How many of you are like, oh, so-and-so's in my group. They'll do it. I'm good. Okay, can we just talk about that for a second? Because in the future, when you're in leadership and you're growing, if you still are trying to do everything yourself without getting work done through other people, you're limiting your ability to grow and scale and move up in an organization. If you're the one that lets everybody else do your work, when are you going to have a voice at the table? How are you going to get your ideas? How are you going to get noticed for promotions? This is the time now to figure that out. If you're trying to do all the work and you don't trust other people and you haven't figured out how to get work done through other people that you're still responsible for, believe me, let me just ask this question. Dean Willoughby, just because you delegate things to people below you, who's still responsible for the results at the end of the day? You still are responsible. You still are going to give the grade that other people on other people's work, so I can see why it's uncomfortable. But that is the way it works in the future. Why are you not practicing that now? So I was that type A person going, I'll just do it. I'll just do it. So think about that. Could you experiment and play around with, maybe the next time you have a group project, be willing to be an engaged team member. Don't be disengaged. Engage with the group. Figure out how you are going to work together, because that is great practice for what you're going to be doing when you graduate, if you're not already doing it now. It's a big deal. If you're one that kind of doesn't speak up, speak up. Your voice matters too. Make a difference now. Now, I'd really like to ask y'all a question, and I don't want it to be full of fear and judgment. I really do want to get curious about it with you. And this is what I got most curious about with some of my students. Why do students cheat? Can we just talk about cheating? Let's just get it out on the table. It's the elephant in the room, if you're in any college campus. Why are we cheating? So I know y'all don't cheat because you're Summit people, right? Because we're all perfect in this room, and none of us have ever made a mistake and cheated, ever, never. Or none of us have ever accidentally told a lie, never. None of us we're all perfect. We've never sinned, right? So let's just say we all mess up, okay? Can we all just say we all have our own version of mess up? So I don't want y'all to be in fear and judgment about this. Let's just have a candid conversation here. Why do students cheat? Yeah. You have to make your grades to keep your scholarships, or you're out of time, you're feeling time pressure, or you're trying to save face, or you're trying to, why else? What else exists? That's what exists before. What else? Yeah. You actually get rewarded for cheating, because then you can go something fun. I had a student that said, well, why would I cheat on the dumb projects? Who cares about that class? We would never cheat in your class, Dr. Crockett, but that class is dumb. I don't even know why it's on my degree plan. I'm just going to cheat. Who cares? I'm like, I can't believe you're telling me this. Why else? Why did students cheat? Fear of failure, huge. And guess what? This follows you into your professional life. Excuse me, not you. You know what I'm saying, hypothetical. This will follow you. Why do professionals cheat? Do you think it's any different? I've got a mortgage to pay. I got a family to support. Years ago at Summit, there was a very interesting gentleman who spoke, and he said there was a man named Jack Welch. Have any of you ever heard of the name Jack Welch? It's been a while. But he was a notorious CEO who was just a tyrant, and he would fire the bottom 10% no matter what. So this man he was number 2 underneath Jack Welch. So he had a guy in between him, and Jack Welch, and the guy who hired him said, look, everybody's afraid of Jack, and they're lying. They're cooking the books. We got to clean it up because we have no good information because everybody's lying because they're scared of Jack. Would you please come in and help me clean up the books? He goes, okay. So Jack's coming to town. He came every quarter, and he'd fire the last 10%. Jack's coming to town. He says, all right. He's drinking coffee with his wife. He paints this amazing picture. Dr. Lytle, I don't remember if you remember the story. He's drinking coffee with his wife and says, Jack's coming to town and the numbers look terrible, and I have to tell him. And we got a mortgage, and we got 2 kids. What do I do? She said, you go tell him the truth. You go tell him the truth, and God's going to take care of us. So he said he went into Jack's office with his boss, gave him the news. Jack threw his fit. They kind of went back out and let Jack think about it. He said, we got the you-know-what beat out of us. Then we go back in. We actually counted how many steps it was back to his office because it was so awful. But he didn't get fired. But he said, even if I had, at least I had my integrity and my character. It won't be easy. He could have easily been fired. Who's in your life? Who's in your world that's going to help you when those times come? Why do you cheat? And I'm not accusing you. It's a curiosity. Remember, no fear and judgment in this. Pure curiosity. Why? I asked myself this question when I had a friend who actually was involved. I was very involved with his family. I was very close to his sister. His son is one of the authors in our Courageous books that I'll be telling you about later. And he also was involved with my kids. He had gone on mission trips with my kids. And somehow he got it in his mind that the rules didn't apply to him, that he could cheat, that he didn't have to have the same standard that other people have. And he's in prison right now. And the ripple effects of what he did, not just for himself, but his family and all the people that he had influence over, horrible. He grew up in the church. He loves the Lord. He still does. He's asked for forgiveness, and he is forgiven, and he is doing an amazing ministry in prison. But there are still horrible consequences. Horrible. When did he start thinking that the rules didn't apply to him and only the stuff he cared about mattered and I can just cheat and blow off the other stuff? When did that start? Did it start in college when people weren't holding him accountable? When he was getting away with cheating and thought it was no big deal? Don't kid yourself if you think that you can cheat and do things in college and it's not going to follow you the rest of your life. I'm going to challenge you to draw a line in the sand. And I told my students this, I'd rather give you a 0 than give you a grade on something you cheated on. Take the 0. I get it. I actually understand that there are times you just can't get it all done. Now, it's easy for me to say take the 0 because I was also the student that had to have scholarships to be in school and I worked 30 hours a week. So I get the financial pressures. And it's way harder now, I think. But I just want to encourage you. Get curious. Don't be in fear and judgment. Don't let the enemy cause you to have shame about it or be in fear about it or feel judged about it. Get curious about it and figure it out. Because the whole moonwalking bear thing, that's what you're figuring out. That is a moonwalking bear move. You don't just get the luxury of counting. You have to count and get results, and you have to do it with integrity. And you have to think about relationships. It's not as easy as, well, I'm just going to count how many passes. I'm just going to get a good grade. It's way bigger than that. It's how are you getting the grades? How are you treating your group project members when you're getting the work done? What are you doing outside of the classroom? Are you serving in some way? Are you in community with friendships and having a life outside of just work, 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 work? Thinking that someday it's going to get better. Can I just tell you, it gets harder and you get busier. You think it's not possible? Trust me. It will not, well, when I graduate. Well, then once you graduate, it says, well, when I get married. Well, I probably am not going to get married. So, okay, well, I'm single. Okay, well, after this project. Well, I'll do that after. And you look up and you're 80 years old. I have so many clients. I would say a huge percentage of what I do in executive coaching is helping them draw a line in the sand of what they want and what they don't want. We deal a lot with the wake behind them because the farther up you go in an organization, your influence spreads, the wake behind you changes. It has even a bigger effect on people. What does the wake behind you look like? Do you have core values? Does your wake line up with your core values? Does your wake line up with all these words? Are you someone who has integrity? Are you confident without being arrogant? There's a way to be humble and confident. There absolutely is a way to be both. Have you gotten curious to figure out what that looks like for you? Are you trustworthy? Look at those 13 trust behaviors. Are you able to deliver on all those different behaviors? It's way more than just telling the truth. There's a lot more to trust than that. Are you kind? Are you so stressed out? I had a student one time, for several years at LCU, I taught online because I wanted to stay home with my kids. And so LCU graciously allowed me to work from home, which I ended up working harder, which was hilarious. But it was back when we were helping develop online classes and stuff. And so I actually was on a flight with my husband on a trip with him, and the LCU baseball team was traveling back from a game. And I struck up a conversation with one of the players and said, hey, so you're an LCU student. I noticed your gear. Yeah. Well, do y'all ever take online classes? Yeah. Well, how's it going? Because it was still pretty new. Online classes were still pretty new at the time, way back in the day. He goes, well, this old bat is teaching my online class. She is so rude. And I'm like, I knew I was like one of the only people teaching online. I didn't tell him my name, thank goodness. And it was like, an old bat? Well, why? Well, she just we'll email her a question and she just, page 19. Page 17. Well, I would get like 200 emails, and I was trying to be efficient and quick and get there the information they needed. Well, they thought I was an old bat and rude. Do I look like an old bat and rude? I was mortified. So then I stopped. I said, okay, hi, Sarah, tilde. That's 3 keystrokes, by the way. That's extra time. Great question. If you'll look at page 17, I think you'll find your answer. Have a great day. I had no intention. Nobody wakes up in the morning and decides to be that. I can't wait to get to work and I'm going to be so arrogant. I can't wait. And I'm going to be disrespectful and dishonest and rude and selfish. And you know what? I'm going to be power hungry. It's going to be great. I don't think anybody goes to work intentionally saying they're going to do that. But we have blind spots. We get stressed. My daughters remind me I get a tone, apparently. Mom, your tone just changed. No, it didn't. Oh, it changed. I can't hear it. They can hear it. And I bet other people can too. So the wake behind me, old bat, do I really want that to be my wake? Someone whose tone is rude, do I want that to be my wake? No. Have good people around you to help you. So with that being said, let me just see where we are. Hang on. Okay. So how do you get curious? How do you know how you're showing up? How do I know if I'm on track? You have people around me, and this I just pulled off my phone, so I actually have this on my screenshot on my phone, so I'm still working on this too, right? How do you confront reality about where you are yourself? I'm not saying you cheat, and I'm not saying you lie, but we all have the capacity to become any of those things on that screen in a negative way. We all have capacity to cheat. We all have capacity to fudge the numbers. We all have capacity to tell a little white lie. How do we get that shored back in? It's different for all of us. And again, no fear and judgment. We have a lot of flesh in us that's not the spirit that's tugging on us to do some of these things. So this is what I do. I love this verse. I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm going to need your help because I do not always get it right. I want you to search me, know my heart, test me, lead me. So those are the 6 words I love about this verse. Search me, test me, lead me. It's not about Kathy figuring it out. So I keep saying, you're going to be curious and figure it out. I actually want you to get curious with the Lord. Lord, what do I need to know about this? What do I need to know? What do I need to do? Get curious, have this ongoing conversation with him. If something comes up about cheating, Lord, I cannot believe that lady, you won't even remember her name. That lady at Summit said don't cheat. But man, and if I get a 0, talk to him about it. He gets it. He already knows what you're thinking. You might as well talk to him about it. And ask him for help. Imagine that. He might give you some help in it and some wisdom. So with that, I'm going to open it up. We have about 8 minutes for Q&A, and then we'll take a stretch break, and then we'll jump into our second session. So happy to answer any questions if you have any, if you're brave enough to ask me questions. So just real quick, results relationships, be curious, and think of it, let the Lord help you. Don't feel the pressure you're going to have to figure it out by yourself. You're not. The Lord will help you. Get good people around you that can hold you accountable and can help you. Accountability is another trust behavior, by the way. So, any questions? Yes.